There are 1001 ways to leave this world behind, but some are so absurd that they make us question human common sense. From surreal accidents to questionable decisions that defy all logic, we can learn about real stories of people who, for one reason or another, ended up departing this life in a, shall we say, stupid way. In May of 2021, a 39-year-old man was found dead inside a decorative dinosaur statue in Santa Coloma de Gramenet, in the metropolitan area of Barcelona, Spain. It is believed that he went inside the statue to retrieve his cell phone, which had fallen into the structure, becoming stuck upside down and unable to get out. The body was discovered after a father and his son noticed a foul odor coming from the Stegosaurus statue and saw the body through a crack in the figure's leg. They alerted the authorities, who called firefighters to cut open the papier-mâché structure and remove the body. The victim had been reported missing by his family only a few hours before the discovery. The police found no evidence of foul play and deemed the death an accident. The statue, which had served as an advertising piece for an old movie theater, was later removed from the site. In January of 2018, Halil Dag, a Turkish man who was 39 years old, died after falling from a height of approximately 45 meters while trying to take a birthday photo. Positioned on a rock at the historic Urfa Castle in the south of Turkey, he jumped into the air to capture a mid-jump photo, but lost his balance and stumbled toward the edge of the cliff until he unfortunately could not regain control and plummeted about 45 meters down. No. Due to the sheer height of it, the man did not survive the impact and the resulting injuries, passing away instantly. Somehow, the video was leaked on the internet and quickly went viral, accompanied by the sad news of the man who simply wanted to have fun, but met a truly tragic end. On April 20th of 2008, Father Adelir Antonio de Carli, aged 41 and popularly known as the Balloon Priest, took off from Paranagua in the Brazilian state of Parana, seated in a plastic chair supported by 1,000 helium balloons. His goal was to fly for 20 hours until reaching Dourados in the Brazilian state of Mato Grosso do Sul to raise funds for the Pastoral Rodoviária, an initiative providing support to truck drivers. Unfortunately, this undertaking did not end well, and the priest lost his life. Prior to this flight in January of 2008, Adelir made a successful test journey, flying for 4 hours from Ampere in the Brazilian state of Parana all the way to San Antonio in Argentina using 500 balloons. He had experience in sports such as skydiving, paragliding, and scuba diving. However, an instructor stated that 3 years before, the priest had been an undisciplined student who ignored instructions. On the day of the fatal flight, despite adverse weather conditions, Adelir decided to proceed. He had a GPS device, a cell phone, a satellite phone, a parachute, a helmet, waterproof clothing, thermal attire, a life vest, water, and food. Even so, he struggled to operate the GPS and was caught off guard by bad weather. He drifted almost 180 degrees away from his intended route, heading toward the ocean, and disappeared there, where he was eventually found deceased. After losing contact, searches began, but it was only on July 4th of 2008, around 3 months later, that parts of his body were discovered in the ocean near Masai, in the Brazilian state of Rio de Janeiro. Deoxyribonucleic acid tests confirmed his identity. In May of 2018, Prabhu Bhattara, a taxi driver, was fatally attacked by a bear while attempting to take a selfie with the animal in the Odisha region of India. Bhattara was returning from a wedding when he stopped his vehicle to attend to a personal need and saw the injured bear. Ignoring the advice of his passengers to keep away, he approached the animal in an attempt to take a picture. The bear reacted by attacking him, resulting in his immediate death. Witnesses captured the incident on video, while a stray dog tried to intervene by biting the bear without success. Local forestry authorities were contacted and had to tranquilize the bear in order to retrieve Bhattara's body, who unfortunately did not survive the injuries. In July of 2021, Yesenia Morales Gomez, a 25-year-old attorney, died tragically during a bungee jump activity in Amaga, Colombia. She was with her boyfriend at the attraction run by Sky Bungee Jumping. According to reports, Yesenia misinterpreted an instruction intended for her boyfriend as if it were for her and jumped off the bridge without being properly secured to the required safety gear. After she leaped, her boyfriend rushed down to try to resuscitate her, but sadly, Yesenia was already unresponsive. Firefighters from Amaga were called and confirmed her death at the scene. Yesenia's family voiced dissatisfaction with the response of the company in charge, claiming insufficient assistance after the incident. They considered legal action against Sky Bungee Jumping, which, according to information, was operating without the necessary license for such activities. In December of 2009, Vladimir Likonos, a 25-year-old chemistry student at the Kiev Polytechnic Institute in Ukraine, died tragically after an explosion caused by chewing gum. He was in the habit of dipping his gum in citric acid to intensify its taste. While working at his computer at his parents' home in Konotop, Vladimir is believed to have confused the citric acid with a similar-looking explosive substance, possibly a compound 4 times stronger than trinitrotoluene. When he chewed the contaminated gum, there was an explosion that caused fatal injuries, destroying his jaw and lower face. Authorities found about 100 grams of the explosive substance near the site. Due to its instability, experts were called to identify it, but chose not to move it for safety reasons. On November 28th of 2019, Ronald Sear, a 65-year-old resident of Van Buren, Maine, died after being hit by an accidental shot from a booby trap he himself had set up at his home to protect it from intruders. The trap consisted of a firearm rigged to fire if someone tried to open the front door. On Thanksgiving night, Ronald unintentionally triggered the device upon entering his residence, sustaining a fatal injury. He managed to call 911 to report the incident, but he later died from his wounds. During their investigation, authorities discovered other traps on the property, leading the Maine State Police Bomb Squad to be called in to deactivate them and ensure the site's safety. The Demon Core was a 6-kilogram and 200-gram plutonium sphere developed by the Manhattan Project during the Second World War. Originally intended for use in a third atomic bomb, its deployment was cancelled after Japan's surrender. Subsequently, the core was employed in criticality experiments at the Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico, leading to 2 fatal accidents. On August 21st of 1945, physicist Harry Daghlian, age 24, was conducting an experiment alone, stacking tungsten carbide bricks around the core to test its reactivity. By accident, he dropped one of the bricks onto the core, pushing it into a supercritical state and releasing an intense burst of neutron radiation. Daghlian quickly removed the brick, but had already received a lethal dose of radiation. He died 25 days later from acute radiation syndrome. On May 21st of 1946, it was the turn of physicist Louis Slotin, who was conducting a similar experiment using beryllium hemispheres as neutron reflectors around the core. He used a screwdriver to maintain a small gap between the hemispheres and control reactivity. During the procedure, the screwdriver slipped, allowing the hemispheres to close completely and making the core supercritical. Slotin quickly separated them, ending the reaction, but had already received a fatal dose of radiation. He died 9 days later. After these incidents, the core was nicknamed the Demon Core. The events led to significant changes in safety protocols for experiments involving fissile materials, including the use of remote control devices to reduce human exposure. In April of 2022, during the conflict in Ukraine, reports emerged that a Russian soldier in Irpin had removed the ballistic plate from his vest and replaced it with a supposedly looted MacBook, a decision that did not turn out well. Well, according to some accounts, it resulted in his death during a confrontation, since a MacBook obviously could not offer protection against gunfire the way a ballistic plate would, and thus he ended up being shot, losing his life due to a really unfortunate choice. The case, reportedly backed by a video showing the damaged MacBook, gained significant attention. In some tests carried out by knowledgeable individuals, these computers were shown to have no ability to protect anyone from bullets. Although this story was widely circulated on social media and in certain news outlets, it is important to note that the accuracy of these reports has not been confirmed by independent or official sources. Therefore, the reliability of the information remains uncertain. Gary Hoy was a Canadian lawyer who died on July 9th of 1993 when he fell from the 24th floor of the Toronto Dominion Centre in Toronto, Ontario. In an attempt to show a group of law students how sturdy the windows of the building were, he threw himself against one. Although the glass itself did not break, the force caused the window frame to give way, leading to Hoy's fatal fall. Hoy was a lawyer at the firm Holden Day Wilson and had performed this demonstration before without incident. However, on that day, the window structure could not withstand the impact. Structural engineer Bob Greer commented at the time that he knew of no building code anywhere that would allow a 72.5-kilogram man to hit a glass pane and have it hold. Hoy's death was one of the factors that contributed to the closure of Holden Day Wilson in 1996, which at that time was the largest law firm dissolution in Canada. In September of 2015, Andrei Retrovsky, a 17-year-old Russian teenager, died after falling from the 9th floor of a building in Vologda, Russia, while trying to take an extreme selfie for his social media. Andrei was known for seeking risky photos from high places. In the fatal incident, he planned to use a rope to simulate a fall from the building. Unfortunately, the rope failed, causing him to plummet approximately 27 meters. Even though he landed on some bushes that partially cushioned the fall, Andrei did not survive his injuries and died about 2 hours later at the hospital. The tragic event generated widespread attention and served as a warning about the dangers of extreme selfies. At the time, Russia was seeing a troubling rise in accidents linked to risky selfies, prompting the government to launch a public campaign with the slogan, "Even 1 million likes on social media are not worth your life." During the severe acute respiratory syndrome outbreak in the early 2000s, a tragic incident took place in Taiwan involving a 45-year-old woman. Fearing infection, she decided to bathe in a tub filled with 40 and 0.5% ethyl alcohol, believing it could ward off the virus. She entered the bathtub around 11 o'clock at night and was found lifeless by her family at 11 o'clock the next morning. The autopsy revealed a blood alcohol concentration of 1 3/500%, well above the roughly 0.4% considered lethal. Although skin absorption of alcohol in adults is rare, it is believed that in this case, she was poisoned due to cutaneous absorption and possibly from inhaling alcohol vapors during her prolonged immersion. The incident served as a warning of the risks in using unproven preventive measures, stressing the importance of following evidence-based medical guidelines during outbreaks. In January of 2007, Jennifer Strange, a 28-year-old Californian and mother of 3 children, took part in a contest held by Sacramento radio station KDND-FM. The challenge required participants to drink as much water as they could without urinating, with the prize being a Nintendo Wii console. During the contest, Jennifer consumed around 7.5 liters of water. After finishing in second place and winning some concert tickets, she began to experience headaches and stomach pain. Hours later, she was found lifeless in her home due to water intoxication, also known as hyponatremia, which happens when the body's electrolyte balance is disturbed by excessive water intake. The tragedy led to major repercussions and resulted in at least 10 employees being fired from the radio station. In 2009, Jennifer's family filed a lawsuit against the broadcaster, and a settlement of $16.5 million was awarded. On November 17th of 1992, Vietnamese nuclear scientist Tran Duc Thiep suffered a serious accident while working at the Institute of Physics in Hanoi, Vietnam. During a routine operation, Thiep entered the irradiation chamber to manually adjust a sample of gold ore, a task that normally would have been done by air pressure. His colleagues, thinking he had already left the chamber, turned on the particle accelerator, inadvertently exposing Thiep's hands to an electron beam. As a result, Thiep suffered severe tissue necrosis in both hands. Even after receiving specialized treatment in Paris, he had to have his right hand amputated. He also lost his ring finger and pinky on his left hand, which later developed chronic radiation-induced fibrosis and stiffness. After more than 600 days of treatment for acute radiation injuries, Thiep returned to work at the institute in 1994. Thankfully, the outcome was not worse, and it did not end up taking his life. The accident led the International Atomic Energy Agency to conduct an investigation into safety practices at Hanoi's Institute of Physics. The agency acknowledged the pressures faced by Vietnamese scientists working in a developing country and recommended considerable improvements to safety protocols. On September 29th of 2024, the motorboat La Linda sank in an area known as the Devil's Throat off the coast of São Vicente in the Brazilian state of São Paulo. The vessel was carrying 7 people who were returning from a party on a larger boat. 5 passengers were rescued alive, while 2 women went missing. The missing victims were identified as Beatriz Tavares da Silva Faria, age 27, and Aline Tamara Moreira de Amorim, age 37. One of the survivors, Camila Alves, mentioned that none of the passengers were wearing life jackets at the time of the accident. She stated that after the sinking, only 3 life jackets were available on board, which obviously contributed to the tragedy. The Devil's Throat is an area between Porchat Island and the Sixova Japuí State Park in Brazil, known for its strong currents and considered dangerous for navigation. On March 20th of 2008, Judy K. Zagorski, a 57-year-old woman from Pigeon, Michigan, died in an unusual accident while boating with her family near Vaca Key, Florida. As they traveled in a boat going around 40 kilometers per hour, a spotted eagle ray weighing about 34 kilograms and measuring between 1 meter and 50 centimeters and 1 meter and 80 centimeters in wingspan leaped out of the water and struck Judy, causing her immediate death from the impact. The animal also died on impact, and what was intended to be a fun family outing turned tragic. Experts state that spotted eagle rays are not aggressive and may jump out of the water to escape predators, give birth, or rid themselves of parasites. Such accidents are extremely rare, yet it happened at that exact moment. Don't forget to subscribe so you can watch more videos like this.